Hi, welcome to TattooNOWTV. We're here with a special artist profile with Tim Senecal, one of Off the Map's resident artists. He's been here for a long time. We're going to go through the tattoo of the day with Tim. We'll talk about some of his work, some of the artists he looks up to, and it should be a good time. Welcome, Tim.
Welcome.
So we'll start with some basic questions. You grew up in Chicopee.
Yep.
What got you into tattooing as a young person?
Well, it was, I'd always really been into drawing my whole life and everything, and just having, just working some crappy jobs everywhere. I was working as a butcher, and one of my friends seen some of my artwork, and he was loaded with tattoos, and started talking to me about it, trying to get me to give it a try and stuff like that. So I mean, after a while of him bugging me, I thought, well, it's worth a try. And at the same time, I was having problems with my work, and so I studied up into it a real lot. And of course, he became my guinea pig. He got to receive all my first tattoos, good or bad. So
I'm sure it was both.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say I was horrible right out of the gate or anything, but I definitely was not great. And I don't think anybody really is awesome coming right at it. So
we'll start right at the beginning. Walk us through the process of how you began to tattoo, where the supplies came from, where did you, how you first started.
Well, when I started, it was still legal in Massachusetts, so I kind of changed the landscape a little bit. Pretty much most of the artists who were tattooing in Massachusetts at the time were just, what people would call kitchen magicians or scratchers. Sure. Or mostly people with drug problems who were attracted to tattooing because you can get your quick buck and your quick fix or
easy
whatnot.
Cash.
Yeah, exactly. And anybody serious was working in a tattoo shop outside of state, neighboring states, and that's where you would go, of course, to get your tattoos. And so when I started up, I looked into the prospects of getting an apprenticeship, and really been, it was just like hitting a brick wall everywhere that I was checking. Even when I did show my artwork and stuff like that, people weren't very receptive, and so I decided to look into getting the equipment on my own and learning all I could on my own. So I bought your standard starter kit
from a magazine.
Yep, came with a book to tell you how to tattoo and everything. Sure. And just basically the night before I did my first tattoo, I crammed through real quick, read the book through like several times in a row, and just tried to fit as much information as I could into myself. I tried practicing everything ahead of time and stuff like that, make sure I was completely set up, that I wouldn't be passing along any infections or anything like that, and
that's a step a lot of folks don't take that step.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge initial step. I mean,
the education's
you can't,
not quite there in the very beginning.
Sure. I mean, and it's something that you can't just, if you just dive into blindly, obviously it can be dangerous to the people who you're tattooing and yourself. So, definitely anybody who's attempting it, the best way now is to get an apprenticeship. They are a lot more available now than they were when I first started. Tattooing is blown up huge. It's a whole different thing than it was when I first started. So
sure. 10 years ago, it seemed as though there was kind of an insider club with tattooers, and they weren't quite open with sharing the information of how to get into tattooing. And it seems, from what I've noticed, that it's kind of opened up a lot more in the last 10 years or so. People are willing to share information, and they really care about the education part of it and keeping the art quality as opposed to blocking others out. I think you'll get less kitchen magicians nowadays because
I think at the same time, because it is more readily accessible, you have a lot of people who are going into it with already an art background, who are interested in making good art and then making that transition into tattooing. So it's kind of up in the bar a lot. Plus, with everything that's been on TV and everything like that, with tattooing being in the mainstream culture now and everything like that, I think that the general customer is becoming a little more educated in everything, and I think that is raising expectations a little bit. It's no longer a thing where people just walk into a shop and choose
a number,
tattoo A or B off of a wall and say, just stick that on me.
Right.
People are becoming more aware that custom art is available, and there's artists who specialize in that and everything like that.
Right. So you've been tattooing in the Northeast your whole career. Have you noticed certain aspects of tattooing here that are kind of unique to this area or characteristic of this area versus other places?
Yeah, I don't know if I would say that there's like a distinct style with the Northeast. I think maybe 5 years ago you could have looked and said that, well, it seems like guys here are doing this, and then like guys in the Midwest are doing something a little differently, and then of course you got the guys in California doing all the black and gray cholo stuff and stuff like that. But I think nowadays, there's just a big mix of custom artists pretty much everywhere you go. There's going to be those spots, like out in the middle of nowhere where you maybe still can't find a good custom artist, but as far as styles, they seem to be so infused with so many different styles pretty much everywhere you go now.
I think the easily accessible nature of tattooing has kind of created more of a homogeneous kind of thing, which is cool. I think it's great that there's more options for everyone out there.
Yeah.
I know as a young tattoo fan, I had very little options. It was like someone knew a guy who had a shop just over the Massachusetts border, and you kind of got what you got. And the availability of really great art is definitely a nice change.
Yeah, definitely.
So what first inspired you as far as your own custom artwork?
Well, I think that's something that took a real long time to make that initial jump into being comfortable with doing my own custom artwork on people. When I started, like I said, it was a completely different culture. Pretty much everybody just did Flash all the time, and that's what I started doing was, Flash all the time. And especially like without getting an apprenticeship when I started out, the thought was just there that I didn't want to change anything that the customer was telling me. I was completely unwilling to putting my own artistic input and stuff, because being so fresh at it being such a frightening thing. So even after getting in a shop, I did still work on my art skills all the time, but getting those two to kind of mesh together took a really long time, and building up, a real lot of comfortability with doing what I'm doing. But once I felt that I had gotten a real good grasp on the technical parts of tattooing and everything like that, and which came a lot through doing Flash and those exercises and stuff like that, which a lot of people nowadays skip right over. But
sure, so they might miss some fundamentals, but not.
Yeah, and that could definitely affect how versatile an artist is, being able to go between styles and stuff like that. But really, was when I did get my first job when it became legal in Massachusetts. I was working with a couple of artists that were comic book artists and were pretty new to tattooing themselves, but they were kind of left over after after the comic book had moved on and stuff like that. After the big boom,
especially we had one around here.
Yeah, and that's what it was. Some guys were working on the Ninja Turtles, and and then really working with them was great because it kind of instilled with me, that I had to work on my own art because it's what I had that was different than what other people were doing, and they kind of watching these artists do their own designs on people and feel comfortable doing it, the more I saw that,
gives you the confidence. So do you feel like you slowly worked in a more collaborative manner with customers as opposed to just being, they bring an image, you do an image? You find customers are receptive? I mean, are they willing to take input from you and to change things for the better? Are they willing to listen to your ideas and as opposed to just being stuck with with whatever they brought to you?
I think nowadays that's it's a lot easier. Most people who I'm lending up tattooing are people who have viewed my artwork before ever meeting me, and they're coming to me because they like what I do, and so that makes that whole thing a lot easier. Every once in a while, I will of course still get the person who just is really picky, really hard to work with, really stubborn. That's always going to happen. I do my best to accommodate them. I give in where I can, as long as it doesn't go too far where I think it really, where I think the design is going to get to a point where I really don't want it representing me. And then there always comes a point where you have to kind of cut a relationship off if it's just not working.
And you're willing to do that? You're willing to tell a customer that, maybe another artist might be more up your alley? Or
I am, and I do exercise that sometimes. And it's never really easy to tell somebody, that you really can't work with them, But I mean, if if it's something that I feel that I really can't get into, I'd much rather send them along to somebody who will be more involved in their tattoo and, hopefully give them a better tattoo. So.
Excellent. So as far as other tattoo artists go, who are some of your influences or even folks that you look up to, like in tattooing?
Yeah. There's a whole lot of them, a whole lot from the Northeast also. There's definitely a strong group of artists up here. And, as far as tattooing goes, there's all kinds of people. There's Jesse Smith is one, Joe Capobianco, Tony Ciavaro. Those are all guys who were big when I was starting, and that I really looked up to. I looked up to their style, and that they were out there doing their own original thing on people. They were definitely innovators when it came to the expansion of custom tattooing. So I really looked up to those guys a lot. And
you've had a chance to be tattooed by some of these folks?
Off that list, Tony Ciavaro, I've gotten quite a bit of work with him, gotten to know him through getting work with him and stuff like that. Very nice guy.
So what did he do for you?
He did a tattoo on my arm, did my sleeve right here, which involved a couple of cover-ups in the area, and I definitely love it. It makes me rethink where I'm going on my other arm now, because this arm's a lot of stuff that I had started on my own, and the quality is, someone told me it was a good idea to practice on myself first, and
well, I guess you're not.
I should have probably
doing damage to anybody.
Perhaps I should have chosen a leg, but
it's pretty ballsy to choose something that's out there like that. I can appreciate having enough confidence in yourself to being able to tattoo.
I'm not sure if that's quite where it came from.
It was an easy lip placement.
Yeah, it was an easy spot to work on. I think also at the same time, I was loosely tattooed from other people, and so getting into tattooing, I figured having something more visible would kind of make it a little easier, maybe put my customers more at ease. I still kind of, that's one thing that I still kind of, I don't know if I would really feel comfortable getting tattooed by one of those guys who has no tattoos.
Right.
I find it quite an odd thing. Yeah.
It is a little strange. It's definitely strange.
Yeah, I don't get how you can, do that and not have experienced it yourself, and
right.
I feel that it's something.
Hard, It's hard to take someone seriously, when they're trying to explain things to you if they don't really know, if they only have the information out of a book or what they've seen before. And
yeah,
I know I definitely feel more comfortable being tattooed by someone who has more tattoos than I do, at least, or similar, because someone with no tattoos just sets you off a little. And it's a little.
Yeah, it's hard to see. It's hard to see how somebody who has no tattoos is really into what they're doing.
Right.
I mean, you figure if they really like tattoos, they would have tattoos of their own,
It kind of makes you question where they might be coming from.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just waiting. Maybe they're just being patient.
Maybe they're just waiting. I mean, there's more people nowadays who are educating themselves and not jumping right in, and that's great for them. They don't get to have horrible tattoos like all the rest of us. But
I think people are starting to learn the patience aspect and a little bit more education-wise as far as tattoos go.
I think so. People really look at it differently too, I think for me, getting tattooed is not such a serious thing. I really like tattoos that are whimsical, and, a lot of my tattoos might not have a lot of significance. Some of them do in different ways to me, but it's not like an apparent significance to other people. And a lot of people really, they take their tattoo having to have meaning to a real far extent, where it can be tough to even get started,
Right, because they hold it so precious.
Sure. How are you going to get a tattoo that means something to you when, you have no idea what means enough to you to get tattooed on you?
So. I totally understand that. Well, thanks for answering all my questions. We'll be back in a little bit to go over the tattoos of the day from our TattooNOW app, which is available on the iTunes store. So if you guys are ever curious out there, you can download the app. It's free, and you can kind of follow along with us. And it's cool. It's got the information for all the artists. You can contact the artist right through the app. So if you see something you like, you can send an email right through the app. Okay, we're back. I hope you enjoyed that little video. We're going to run over some of the tattoos of the day. They are submissions by TattooNOW artists that get picked out on a daily basis, some of the best ones. So we're going to take a look at those. If you want to follow along, download the app on the iTunes Store. First one up is Tony Adamson. Pretty vivid rattlesnake.
A whole lot of scales in there. I'm guessing it was a cover-up, although there's no before picture, just by the darkness and the same general area of the tattoo. Yeah, snakes definitely work great for cover-ups. All the complexity, the detail, the texture that the scales provide.
You get a lot of chance for shadows with the curves in the body.
I could be wrong. It could not be a cover-up, but if it is, it looks like a really good one because
it's pretty bold.
You definitely can't just pick out what was underneath there, and it all looks good, works really well as a tattoo. The shadows seem very well placed and everything. Really like how you get that part of scale that comes real forward there, so you get a little bit of dimension in that.
This is a Phil Robertson bio piece. It's got some pretty cool light towards the bottom there. We can get a zoom in on that kind of tealy part there. Kind of look at that. Looks like peacock feathers mixed in there.
Ah, okay. That's what. Yeah, I do like how that part sticks out in front of it there with a nice bold outline on it.
Oh, there's a little grasshopper head peeking out in there. I like that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So he's peeking over part of a flower there, which is all that really soft glowing area down at the bottom. Really cool geometrical shape found in nature. Yeah, really nice.
This next one's really up my alley. I'm kind of a Scully kind of guy. This is a Larry Brogan piece. Larry's going to be at the Motor City convention coming up in February. And then he'll be at Hill City in Phoenix, I think, in August.
Very nice. It's got really good consistency throughout the whole design. Larry's someone who really doesn't skimp or anything, and you can really see those blacks are really black, and you got a full tonal range throughout that whole entire thing. It's all separated out enough. You can tell what everything is. Doesn't look all clumped together anywheres.
No, it doesn't just look like a large gray blob, right? It's nice. No, I like the swirl on the elbow too. It's a nice touch.
Yeah, it totally works from a distance.
So this is a TattooNOWTV favorite, Ian Robert McCowan from Colorado. This is a little tiny portrait he did fairly recently.
Really nice. Yeah, I think he did whoever's grandfather that is, Justice.
I believe it's Beethoven.
Beethoven's grandfather. Looks kind of like my dad.
Looks a lot like Ian's charcoal drawings, which is nice that he can convey his drawing skill like that in tattoo form. This is absolutely one of my favorites from this selection.
Tattoo.
Yeah, very obviously a Kelly Doty.
Yep.
Off the Map alum, who's going to be with us on the 16th, live here at Off the Map.
Yeah, I've seen this one recently. It's a gorgeous tattoo. Yeah, definitely. It's got a great cartoon look to it, but at the same time, it's got so much depth and dimension, and she really does a good job of defining those edges. So that's going to be a tattoo that, though it has a lot of softness, is really going to last and stay looking good. There's quite a bit of soft light colors in there, but I think altogether the blacks are in there correctly, and it'll be a nice tattoo for a long time.
I really like the bright teal in the back underneath. It's really, I like that glow to it. It's kind of nice. Overall, definitely one of my favorites out of this selection.
Yeah, I like how she limits her color palette. She chose that teal, but she didn't get anything anywhere as close to that in the foreground. The teal really offsets the warmer colors and the browns and the clothing and them and everything, and really makes that background stand out and frame the piece nicely.
So this is a Jared Pressler piece from Lucky Bamboo. He was just here not too long ago. He's out in Utah. He does a lot of tattoos on this theme.
A very nice black and gray tattoo. I think the top kind of throws me off a little bit, having that really dark band at the top.
The real dark black with the kind of lighter swirls.
I think it kind of, because it really draws the eye to that spot where it should be drawn to the face a little more. But other than that, it's a very nicely rendered black and gray tattoo.
So this is a Larry Brogan piece, full sleeve.
Yeah, Larry's definitely into doing these really epic tattoos that other tattoo artists just loathe. You know, it's something it's not easy to pull off. It requires a lot of homework or a real lot of time drawing on somebody, and you know, it definitely pulls a lot of different elements into it and everything.
And he does a really good job of wrapping the piece and not having it look like a seam, and it kind of goes all the way around, and it doesn't look like it ends anywhere. It just kind of goes from one side to the other, and it flows right around, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, really digging the geometrical aqueduct. It looks like that's in there. Pretty cool. Unless I'm not seeing it good.
No, I think that's what it is.
Okay.
So this is most definitely a cover-up, and probably my least favorite of the group. Not a bad tattoo by any means, but the shadow lends it to, kind of tells you it's a cover-up.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think also the shadow's kind of jumping forward where it looks like it's lit from the front, so I'm not sure exactly how well that part looks. And the swoop going through there is kind of a bit out of place. But I do like the goofy little creature climbing out of the shell there. It's pretty cool.
Yoshi-esque kind of.
Yeah, definitely thing. Very Yoshi-esque. I think even going right down to the actual spotted shell.
This is a Timothy Bohr tattoo. A little bit of a departure from what I've seen him do at his most recent stint at Last Rites. I know he's at his own shop now, Bohemian Tattoo Club, back home in Indiana. So I'm sure it was a nice break for him to get out in the sunlight and do something a little bright and not so evil.
Yeah, sure. Be able to wear some clothes that aren't just black. Yeah.
See the sun again.
Yeah, I definitely love the warping on the clock and everything. That looks so awesome. I don't think I've ever really seen a tattoo by Timothy that I didn't love, so this is another great one.
It almost looks underwater. I mean, because it's so, with that waviness to it. It's a great tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
This is another Larry Brogan piece. He's been hitting on all cylinders with the TattooNOW crowd, apparently. So this is a little bit different. He's got some color in there, but still kind of like a theme running throughout for one entire large piece. It's got a lot going on in there.
For sure. It's pretty involved tattoo right there.
So this is done by an artist named Liz Cook. It's definitely got some bold contrast going on there.
Definitely really nice to see that in something that's color portrait style, make sure that it will actually hold up there. Would have been nice to see maybe something else holding up that hand that's would be her right hand. Seems like that edge right there, and maybe a little bit too close to the skin tone. There could definitely be some issues with that down the road. But all in all, a good tattoo. Probably will be expanded off of, which will help to hold that area of the tattoo in.
So here's a really bold black lined Teresa Sharp piece. This one will probably hold up very well.
For sure. Definitely no issues with that on this piece. Very traditionally rendered for Teresa. She's usually a little more painterly with her style, but man, that is a very solid tattoo right there. It's got a lot of great fundamentals to it.
A little steampunk kind of vibe going on there.
It's got great scale too.
I like the skull brooch in the middle. It's kind of cool. Looks almost metallic.
Yeah.
All right, and that's it. Those are the tattoos of the day from the last couple weeks. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope you could follow along with those. Thanks for your input, Tim. It's always good to hear from someone who knows what the hell they're talking about.
Definitely being immersed in the community, having at least some involvement with other artists is a big part of it. You'll stay a lot fresher that way. By yourself, sometimes you hear these artists saying, "Oh, I don't have any influences," and if that was true, your stuff would look like the paintings in those caves in France that were done 40,000 years ago. That's what art with no influences looks like.
My doctors have told me what Guy just said about helping your eyes. You got to focus on something distant and take breaks and stretching.
You immediately have to start developing good habits. If you don't, for instance, develop good posture, your back is going to go on you in your first 2 years.
Having artistic experiences not related to tattooing, and then taking that energy and that inspiration and bringing it back into tattooing.
I think subconsciously, as an artist, you keep your eyes and ears open, and you don't even know you're doing it. And I think that's what those guys were kind of saying. And then when you sit down at the drawing table, you sit down at your tattoo station, things come to you without even thinking, without even trying.
Just got to keep drawing.
I would just say draw a lot, draw, paint.
Love what you do. Get out there, get yourself knowledgeable about what you do, what you love, and really put the effort of putting that time in to draw.
And tattoo as much as I can.
And we're back. Thanks for hanging with us. It's kind of a short show tonight. For those of you who wanted to see it live, we apologize. The internet exploded. The modem melted down. We lost everything. Sorry to Richie Bulldog, Ian McCowan, Joe King. We'll get to you again. Guy Aitchison as well. We'll get to you. I promise. Next up, December 16th. Check back with us. We're going to have Kelly Doty with us in studio. And then via Skype, we'll be talking to Marcus Leonard and Gunnar. We may have a little chime in from Guy. He couldn't be here this time, so maybe he'll be here next time. We can talk about his new bio encyclopedia. We've got a couple holiday parties coming up for Off the Map. If you're local, check out the Off the Map website or TattooNOW, and there'll be more information there. Big thanks to Tim again. I appreciate you coming in. It's nice talking with you. Hopefully we can do this again. If you're new to tattoos and you want some more information that you didn't get out of this show, you can check out the Off the Map site for getting the perfect tattoo. There's a whole bunch of information there for you, and learn about getting the right tattoo. Do your research. Be patient, and of course, stop by here and talk to some of the artists here and get yourself a great tattoo. Make sure you check in with us next time, December 16th. There's going to be some music. It'll be a good time. Enjoy your evening. Good night.